Hi, get excited because you guys are getting ready to start a Middle Ages project. First, this project will involve you researching and developing a presentation about a Middle Ages occupation or a job. You will be drawing for this job today, and you will begin researching today. This project will be composed of three different phases. 3 different parts, and I'm going to describe those 3 parts to you now. The first part of this presentation or this project is a research component. After you draw your job today from the Middle Ages, then you will start researching about that job. During your research, you will be compiling all your research to put together into a short paper. This paper will include paragraphs, and you're going to have to organize it really well. In your paper, you'll have to describe the job, talk about where was this job performed, what were any responsibilities of a person performing this job, how many hours did this person have to work in a day or a week, what items do they have to use to perform this job. You may have to talk about, does this job still exist today? If so, where? And if not, why? And then maybe the type of house or dwelling that this person had to live in. Now remember, a lot of your jobs will be done by serfs or peasants. And so think about what types of places they lived in. Some of you will draw some members of the clergy of the feudal pyramid, and you'll have to think about where they lived. And then others of you will also have the other part of the feudal pyramid. You might have a king or a noblewoman or noble lady, and you'll have to think about where they lived. Once you get all this research together, you will put it together in a paper. I know many of you will ask, how long does this have to be? I would say as long as you are detailed and you try to answer all those questions, you'll probably come up with about 150 to 200 words. That might sound like a lot, but it really isn't. Once you put those together, once you get all that information, you'll put it together in this paper, which you will have to type, and you will type that, and if you look at the bottom of your page, you'll be graded on this portion. Your rubric will be graded and will be divided into items that are included in this paper, all those bullet points. I'll be looking at conventions, which means did you write in complete sentences and paragraphs and punctuation, and then did you type it? And like I said, all this will be together, and that will be 25 points, which will be the biggest portion of this project. The second part to this presentation is really fun. It's the oral presentation part. Now some of you might be freaking out, but remember, everyone's going to have to do it, and it's really fun the day of. I don't know that I mentioned this earlier, but the day that we do this is called Medieval Day, and it's really fun, and we all are going to dress up, and we're all going to have fun, and we're going to have some special treats, and it'll be a great day, and this is really a big part of it. In this second part, you're going to be sharing the research or the information that you found. And the way you're going to be doing that is you're going to be getting up in front of the class, and like I said, everyone will be doing this, and you're going to be describing your job while in character, which means that you will be dressing up for this part, and I'll get into that in the third part of this presentation. But during this presentation, you'll describe a lot of the things that you found, a lot of the research that you found while you were coming up with this paper and doing this research. You'll have to condense all of that information into at least a minute, but no longer than 2 minutes. You're definitely going to want to practice this at home and time yourself, because you're going to have to make sure that you hit at least a minute, but that you don't go over 2 minutes. Now you can have all this information on note cards, but you cannot read from them. So you can use them to kind of look at as you're talking, but you're just going to get up and you're going to talk to the class, and you're going to tell the class just exactly what you found out. So for instance, if you're a baker, you'll get up and you'll say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a baker." And you'll talk about your day, and you'll talk about all the research that you found, and you'll do that, like I said, in 1 minute and no longer than 2 minutes. Now, for this part, you'll be graded on your volume, making sure that you speak really loud and clear. You'll be graded on the description of your job and the details of your job without reading from a note card. You'll also be graded on your eye contact, making sure that you look at the audience. And lastly, just for your speed, making sure you don't speed through it. A lot of times when we get nervous, we talk really, really fast, and that's why you're going to practice in front of a mirror or however you want to do it. You'll practice your speech and time yourself, just like I will be doing during the presentation. Now again, this is really fun. We all learn from it because all of you will have a different job, and so no one's will be exactly the same. Now, the third and final part of this project for which you'll be graded is a visual aid and a costume. Like I said in part 2, when you get up to give your presentation, you will need to be dressed as your part. And so you're going to have to do a little research and find out what would you be wearing. Again, there's all sorts of jobs that you're all going to be researching. A lot of you will be serfs and peasants, so you might want to just kind of Google and click an image of what a serf or peasant look like. And we've talked a lot about that. Some of you will be clergy, and you'll have to research a little bit of that, and noble women or a king, and you'll have to search all these things during your research and find out what do they look like. You're going to do your best to come up with some kind of an outfit that you will be putting on that will resemble that job or occupation. Now don't stress out about that. I don't want anyone to go out and buy anything. You can just use whatever you find, and that you're just going to try to make do and make it look as close to your job as you can. Now you won't have to wear this to school. We'll all change the day of and get into our costumes. So that will be part of this, is the costume. The second part of part 3 is a visual aid. Now when you get up to give your presentation, besides being dressed like the person doing this job, you also will have to have a visual aid. Now the visual aid should be something that you either need to perform this job or something that you produce from doing this job. For instance, I've had people who have been bakers before, and they've brought bread in a basket and given everyone a sample of that, just because that's something that they would produce as a baker, or cookies or something. Some years I've had people who were, maybe a king, and they would just hold something specific that would look like a king, that would come from a king. Or maybe if they're clergy, they might have a Bible. So something that you have to identify with your job. And again, some kind of visual aid, something that they would use or in daily life, or something that they would make from their job. Some of you might be a basket weaver, so you might have a basket. Or you might be a storyteller, so you might need a book. So there's different visual aids, and I think you'll all be able to figure that out depending on which job you choose. Now, again, the rubric and the way I'll be grading this is just if the visual aid's connected to your job and if you dressed up. And again, this will be 25 points. Now, you might be asking, when is this due? The due date will be due in almost 2 weeks, Thursday, February 20th. And right now, you all need to write that at the top of your paper, underneath the title where it says due, Thursday, February 20th. On that day, we'll be having our medieval day here in this class, and again, we'll all be dressing up and giving our presentations. Now, I also want you all to know that you will be given, in the next 2 weeks, I will be giving you a little bit of time each block to work on this project. You'll be working and researching and working and typing up your paper, and hopefully you'll get, if you work really well, you'll get it all done in class, and all you'll have to do outside of class is put your costume and your visual aid together. And that should be all. So most of this project will be done in class if you use your time wisely. Now it's time to pick your job of the Middle Ages. There's a list of 31 here in front of you. I've cut that list up into 31 strips, and it should cover everybody that's in this class. All these little strips are in this little blue container. The substitute now will be walking around and letting everyone have an opportunity to draw a slip out. After everyone's done, she will give everyone 1 minute to walk around and see if anyone wants to trade or whatnot. Some people have traded, and you're more than welcome to do that up until 1 minute. After the substitute says that 1 minute is up, then everything is final. You won't get to trade later on. After that minute is up, you can sit down with your computers and start doing some research. You may not have very much time left in this block, but again, next week we'll start working a lot more in depth on this research. You will not have any homework with this over the weekend unless you want to start doing some stuff on your own. Again, I'll be giving you some time next week. Good luck.